And now, our feature presentation.
Hello, welcome to another episode of It Sure Is a Podcast.
Have we got some sweet zingers for you today?
Also, would they be zingers? They could be zingers. We'll
I
make a
was just
zinger
trying
or
to
two
say
when we're talking. This past week, a lot of cool games have been announced and just a lot of cool things happen. We're actually going to talk about games this week.
We're going to talk about games this week, but you call them cool games that were announced. I call them stress headaches because I still haven't beaten some of the first ones that I need to play.
Well, you did beat the Space Marine.
I beat Space Marine.
So
I did not beat
you can be ready for that one. Yeah. We're going to get into that. And then next week also is Summerfest, Summer Game Fest, whatever they want to call it. Instead of E3, since they canceled E3 because E3 was like, oh shoot, man, these companies can do it by themselves and they don't need us anymore. And the companies are like, we don't need you anymore, E3.
So they just tried to bow out gracefully?
I think that's what they're doing. I think they're just like, all right, we're ducking out. And it was just like, all right, just do an online show.
Wasn't it like horribly overpriced and crappy and like it just wasn't that cool?
Back in the day, back in the glory days when gaming was first getting started, it was like a big event. And then
because it was like an independent thing. And then corporations got their greedy little ball sacks all over it and it wasn't fun anymore.
Yeah.
They corporatized gaming, man.
They corporatized gaming. Yeah, it just over the years before COVID and all that, it just kind of went down the drain, and it's like, oh, you paid so much to stand in line and play a demo for a game, when really just show us some trailers.
Somebody was talking about that. They're like, hey, you pay like $1,000 for a ticket, and you wait in line for 2 hours for like 15 minutes of gameplay, and and if the game sucked, you just wasted all that time.
Yeah, it's I never thought it'd be worth it. I think it's cool to go to cons, but like E3, even though me a gamer, I'm like, you get to stand in a big audience and just, I don't know, be disappointed at, oh, we're gonna release anything Blizzard releases, Diablo Immortal.
I like Blizzard. Well,
you used to like Blizzard.
I did used to like Blizzard.
And those people, wherever they're at now, they're making some good games still.
Yeah, but they probably left Blizzard because Blizzard was just
Blizzard.
Like, again, corporate ball sacks. That's just...
Especially with that literally corporate ball sacks.
Oh, that's right.
People. All right, so real quick, before we dive into the really good stuff, on the YouTube channel, there is a video called A Video for Eric, where
Brandon had to do my homework for me.
I really did. It's a collection of trailers we're going to talk about, but also the second half of the video is a collection of old video game commercials, which is going to be the second half of the episode. So if you want to follow along and like take a peep at what commercials we're talking about, that's where you do it. We'll just bring it up, or we will describe it the best we can, but it's all on the YouTube channel, A Video for Eric. It has a picture of like RuneScape.
It's like 15 minutes. It's really cool. It's
all I did was just pull the trailers, rip them, and then I just put them all together, and I'm just like, all right, here, Eric, this is all you have to watch. Just watch it.
And it was still like 8 o'clock at night, and I was like, I should watch this before I'm too drunk to understand what's going on.
Yes. And to start off with, Warhammer Bolt Gun was announced at Warhammer Skulls, which is pretty much Warhammer's E3. They had a digital thing. Also, across, I think, all platforms that Warhammer games are on, they're doing a huge sale in celebration of Warhammer Skulls. So if you're interested, like... in a game.
Do you have any recommendations for people who haven't played? Because I think there's a lot of Warhammer games out there, but...
I go with Space Marine, but I don't know if Space Marine got there's an anniversary edition on the PC. I don't think the consoles did. I'm glad you brought that up, because I was going to bring up Necromunda Hired Gun. I got it real cheap off of Steam, and it's on sale and everything else. Imagine Doom 2016 with a little bit of spices from Borderlands and a very simplified... No, I would say Borderlands just because... And the story doesn't matter, right? But if you have knowledge of the Warhammer lore, like we do in the episodes we did the lore rundown, I appreciate it a lot more because there's one of those tech guys. I already forgot his name, but he blesses your weapon and he prays over it. And as he does that, he puts on like attachments like a muzzle and a bigger clip. And then he's like, I've prayed over your weapon. I hope you will pray over your weapon too. And I'm just like, sweet. The hired gun game is really, really fun. It's just right to the point. Just run around. You can run on walls. You have a grapple hook. You just shoot a bunch
grappling hooks are always fun.
They are. And especially this. Now, I will say that Necromunda hired gun is very, very janky. So do not expect the best experience. And it's not like game breaking, but sort of game breaking. Like I've fallen out of levels like 3 times.
That's kind of fun though, because even then you can't be mad when your dude's just like falling through digital space and you're like, oh,
forever.
Oh crap.
Yeah, I had that experience this morning. I get into this one spot and I turn around and there's this giant drill thing chasing me, and the guy's like, oh, time to run. So I see just a little indent in the wall. So I shoot my grapple over and pull myself over there, and I actually get stuck there. And I'm like, oh no, it's going to kill me. So it comes around the corner and just drives past me. And I'm like,
and you're just stuck there?
That's what I thought. Then it dropped through the world. As soon as it like left out of view, it just like, I guess all the textures or whatever like delete themselves. I'm just like, psh. And I'm like, oh, okay.
When you get to, we are going to stay on topic, but there's a fun glitch in Oblivion. If you make enough progress and you get your acrobatics up enough, you can like jump up onto the city walls and jump over the city walls, and it's just a blank world.
Oh yeah, that's right, because you skip the loadings. Yeah.
It's hilarious.
I love doing that in games if I'm able. So it's very fun, very fast combat, very punchy weapons. You get to use a bolter, which is a classic Warhammer weapon. It's funny how the like assault rifle is like tiny, and then you pick up the bolter, and it's like a rocket launcher on your side. It's the ones the Space Marines use, and you're just like, ah. Yeah, it's just a good time. They knocked it down from $40 to $20.
And that's Necromunda hired gun.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I know that's like on Xbox, PS4, all that kind of stuff.
We're gonna get into it more, but Space Marine, is that gonna be an Xbox exclusive?
We'll get into it more because I don't have it right in front of me.
Fair enough.
So that's my recommendation from what I purchased from that sale. Very cheap, and I was like, you know what, yeah.
Plus everybody can always look up trailers and stuff too.
Oh yeah, but I recommend it if you like the newer Dooms and a little bit of like randomized weapons and loot that you can find. Now the system's kind of backwards and awkward, but I mean, other than that, it's a good time. No complaints. My nose itches. I was at the beach longboarding, and there's so much pollen right now that like I swear at least
somebody at my work put it the best way I think I've ever heard. We walked outside, our cars were covered in pollen, we were all suffering from allergies, and one dude walked by and he's like, damn, these trees busted a big old nut this morning, and he just walked away, and I was like, that might be the most apt description I think I've ever heard of pollen.
That really is for pollen, because that's how trees reproduce. Yeah. That's what it is. So just all the trees like just.
But then I also didn't want to get into my car because I was like, there's tree jizz all over this.
Yeah, you just have to accept it. All over my board, there's just tree jizz stomped into it from like it landing on it and me stepping on it. And I'm like, it is what it is. So there was my recommendation. All right, we're starting off with ye old, the trailer for Warhammer Bolt Gun, which is very nostalgic. The trailer starts off with almost feels like Toy Story-ish, right?
It's definitely. I mean, Warhammer's. Anybody who knows about it knows they're very big into their figurines and building up the. Excuse me. They even pulled out a floppy disk. I bet younger people won't even know what that is.
Seriously, they'll look at it and be like, "What is that strange square?"
Yeah,
but it's supposed to be very nostalgic, and then the trailer hits you with good old just like Space Marine looking and playing like the original Doom.
It
crunchy,
looks so good. I can't wait.
As soon as I saw that, I'm like, I just want to play that. That is all I want to play. And there's not a lot shown off for it, so we're not going to really dig into that at all. But we just want to let you know. Look it up. Warhammer Bolt Gun.
That one looked like it was for all systems too.
Yes. Yes, as the trailer is playing next to me, yes, it is for all the systems. So I'm glad everyone gets an opportunity to play it because it looks super cool.
This is the one that I am. By the way, guys, you really should just go watch the video and follow along because that's what we're going to be doing. But this was the one. I think this is the one I'm thinking. Yeah, it definitely is.
Oh, okay. I forgot. It's the other one. Yeah. So the other trailer that was released was for Dark Tide, which is.
Is that what this one is?
Yeah, which I was really looking forward to. The Warhammer 40k Dark Tide, where it's kind of like Left 4 Dead in a sense, but it's a little more story, and also you have a little more customization. And it's just in the Warhammer universe. You got big, buff, bald man, tiny soldier with helmet, woman
hammer. I want the hammer.
Yeah, a woman with bob cut, and then a psyker, which some people are really excited about that because you get to actually play as a legit psyker. And in the trailer, it's good stuff. I also do like the music right at the end of the trailer when it's like "Rejects Will Rise."
Yeah,
and I was like listening to that, and I was just thinking like, dude, that's just like an anthem of nerds. Whenever one of them gets a girlfriend, they're all sitting at the lunch tables like "Rejects Will Rise," and it's playing the same music it plays at the end of that, like.
It's possible.
We've done it, gentlemen.
One of us gets laid, we all get laid. And then the girlfriend's like, hey, I didn't sign up for that.
That's like, no.
It's like, wait, we didn't mean it quite like that.
They like pull out their rulers and textbooks, and they're just like, at like swords and shields. Yeah, that one, all right, I got to take a peek at the end of the trailer, but for that one, for Dark Tide, what is it listing? Is it listing
Steam, Xbox...
Xbox Series...
Son of a...
Okay, Xbox. So that one, I don't know if it will just be on those systems.
It looks like that one might be only for Xbox. I mean, and PC, but...
And PC, Master Race. Oh, okay, so we're going to transition to the next one, which...
Okay, maybe this is the one. I'm sorry, guys. This might be the one I was thinking more about.
That was the one you're thinking of, which is the sequel to Greedfall, which I remember our episode. I'm like, yeah, they're making a sequel. And there was no confirmation. It was just that...
We were just like, they're totally going to have a sequel. Yeah, for sure.
They totally have a sequel. I was like so happy about that.
Well, it's because the studio came out of... I mean, I won't say came out of nowhere, but Greedfall took on a life of its own out of nowhere and like blasted this studio into recognition.
I also think another part of it was that the market was so starved for a game like that because the only people who were doing it were BioWare and EA, and they kept... And
it was the same universe, and people still love those games, but they wanted that different universe.
Yes. So it's, what is it, Greedfall, Dying World?
Yeah, Greedfall 2, Dying World. And,
yeah, tell me on the trailer what it says at the end of it, if it has any platforms or consoles that's going to be on.
This does make me I'll have to switch back and forth between Mass Effect and Greedfall.
They're playing Mass Effect again.
I'm still playing Mass Effect. We should put it that way.
You're just like, I don't ever stop playing Mass Effect. I just keep playing Mass Effect.
I take breaks and then I go back. Yeah, Greedfall 2, The Dying World. Yeah, made by spiders. And we are... not gonna tell us what that's on.
Okay, it's gonna be on everything.
I'm gonna assume, if they're not specifically calling out, it'll be for everything.
Yeah. So actually, I'm gonna recommend pause the video there just because I want to dig into the Greedfall 2 because it's a prequel actually.
You beat the first one, correct?
Yes.
Okay, I never did because I had trouble getting into it. However, that happens to me constantly in games like that. I have to play it like 2-3 times and restart until I'm finally like, okay, I know what I want my character to be like. I know what the world's like. I know how I want to approach it. I'm very OCD with stuff like that. Like, I can't go in blind and be like, I want to start this way, and then I want to switch halfway through. I don't know why.
It must suck to be you.
It really sucks a lot of the time trying to play these games until I finally figure it out. I mean... Skyrim's been out for 10 years, and I still go back and forth about what type of armor and weapon I want to use. So
that's why I don't lean towards games that give me too many options because I just get overwhelmed. I'm like, just give me a handful and let me experiment.
That's why I like Mass Effect, because it's the perfect amount of customization and choice without being overwhelming.
Are we doing that? Up. Yeah, while you were talking about that, I'm just sitting here and I'm watching the lines and watching the device too, and I'm like,
oh, ow. I think I just broke a knuckle listening to that
I
one.
think we're all just breaking our bones here in the middle talking about Greedfall. Yeah, and Greedfall it was just an interpretation of that kind of style, but this is supposed to be a prequel of when that colony first went there to seek, because when we get there in the first game,
it's the cities and stuff are established.
Yeah, and also there already have been people there, and I think it's like first contact pretty much, because you see in the trailer that you see a lot of stuff from the first game, and then you see like the two the natives and the colonialists, and then they fight, and then it's just like Greedfall.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the Dying World part definitely is reference to that plague, the plague starting on that little place. I forget the names because I could never remember the names when I was playing it, because it was very French.
Very, very.
And Spiders is a French developer, so makes sense.
Yeah, you're gonna go off of what you know, and if that's your culture, you're gonna base.
It's just
that kind of historical.
The name of the place I cannot remember, but it was French sounding. But yeah, I'm excited. We're getting a sequel to Greedfall.
Now I just gotta play it. Now I have my motivation to play it.
Yeah, it got to a point when I was playing where it's like side quests. I'm like, I just want to beeline it to the end, because I won't play this if I don't do that, if that makes sense.
Can you, without spoilers, can you play the game after you beat it to go do those side quests, or no? Does it end and you have to...
I believe so, and there's a DLC that I haven't gotten to.
There's, I think, a couple for it.
I know there's the one it's the whatever conspiracy.
That does help though, because I know if I can play it afterwards and I can go back and do some stuff, I'd probably.
Yeah, nice. I believe so. Like, I enjoyed the story and enjoyed my time with it. A few reviewers that broke down the game, they said it's good, but it just seemed like toward the end they just started to stretch it out to hit the standard 40 to 50 hour mark.
Yeah, but you can make it smaller. I don't understand
why it's okay
to
make smaller games. It's okay to do that.
It's we were talking about before on the streaming shows. If you got 30 hours of solid content, put out 30 hours of solid content. Don't stretch it out, because you will turn people off.
Yes.
So
it's just everyone wants to stretch things out just because they think, oh, that is more appealing, which for me it is not.
Here's the thing: if you're like, oh, you need to do all this so kids will play it more. Kids the younger audience is not gonna. They're gonna be playing their MMOs online, fast action paced, immediate adrenaline rush games.
Oh yeah.
Older people like us are gonna play these types of games, and we ain't got 50 hours lying around to do it.
Yeah, more memorable games for me. The games I remember vividly lasted 5 to 6 hours. Games that had massive it's over 100 hours. I'm like, I couldn't tell you what happened in it.
One of the two of the most influential games for me were first person shooter and third person shooter, Halo and Gears of War.
And both of those are just action packed.
I mean, they had stories to them, but
they did.
Those were the originals, and they were building the world. But they told a little bit of a story, but the gameplay was cool. Boom, hooked for life on that.
Finding that balance in between exposition dumping and then world building, and it's always easier for you to in Gears of War 1, when you fight that female berserker, yeah, and instead of someone sitting there saying, opening up an exposition book and be like, so female berserkers are female locusts, and this and this. You got a little snippet, and then you experienced it, and boom, you understand now that the females are terrifying.
Truly, horrifyingly terrifying.
Truly, horrifyingly terrifying. Oh, I got a message. I was just making sure everything was okay. Yeah, okay, all's good. Oh. So, yeah, I hope Greedfall either put more content that is more, varied in their game, or they just make it capped at 30 hours.
Yeah, because they did the DLC stuff, and I prefer that. Put out your initial story, and from there, take the feedback you get, or if you have more story ideas, put it out later.
Yeah.
That's perfectly fine. That's how you extend the life of your game. Don't give me 90 hours of nothing.
Especially with Ubisoft titles, how they work now. It's like, oh, the game's over 150 hours, and you just realize
that's
that
more
like,
of a discouragement for me than anything.
yeah. If someone came out and said, all right, we're making this game, I'm like, cool, I really like the concept. It's going to be 5 hours long. I'm like, day one, baby.
Yeah, because you just buy it, play it, beat it. That's not going to stop me from getting it.
Yeah. I can see the drawback for that if it is a like $60 price tag and it's like just single player. Then I'm like, I'm waiting for a sale just because I'm broke.
I can agree with that. I also think that everybody has to hit that $60 release. If you can make it cheaper, make it shorter, and make it faster, throw it out there for $30.
Yeah.
People will spend it. People will buy it more if it's lowered. Like,
yeah.
Or do digital only release for $30. I mean, there's so many options. People have to stop being, and I get it. It's an industry, corporate ball sacks again. But like, if you got something, put it out there at the price that you think it should deserve. You'll make some money. Everybody's happy. Look at Greedfall. Greedfall came out of nowhere. Man, now I just want to go play Greedfall. Can we stop this podcast?
Just go play it. You go play Greedfall.
I'll go play it for like 48 hours straight. I'll call off work, get fired. It's okay. My wife can leave me. But I'll do it, then we'll come back, and then we can talk more about it.
And you're like, yes, I finished Greedfall. And I'm like, it's too long that I don't remember what happened at the end. I do, but it was one of the... When I initially, when I said I beat Greedfall... I did beat Greedfall, but I was very kind of like vague on it. It was like it ended in the way that you would kind of expect, but like only after the ending.
Yeah.
And it wasn't bad. It was a good ending. I was just saying that just to not spoil anything because I feel like you should experience it for yourself because it was a nice game. It was a nice.
I liked the gameplay, but I can totally see me trying to break my OCD and maybe skipping some of the side quests.
Oh yeah, I skip some of the side quests all the time. That's how I roll. Okay, we got to keep this moving along. We got a lot of stuff today. So, Space Marine 2, they kind of released a developer update just talking about all the stuff that they're going to be doing with the game, and it looks good. Like, did you see all those bits of all that CGI? And
yeah, that CGI looked crazy.
Tim Willits is on the project. Now, only reason I remember this guy, because for some reason, forever ago, I was watching a video for, I think, Rage, when he worked at id Software, and he worked on the first Doom reboot 2016. And I remember really liking those games, and I also remember him being like one of the leads on it. So there's hope. And I only remember this game because I look at him, I'm like, it's the bald Doom man. That's what
it's also really funny because when they're talking about Space Marine 2, they're like, this is such a beloved world, and Space Marine, the first one, was just such a beloved game. They're like, we don't want to screw this up.
Yeah.
He's like, that's the most terrifying thing, is that this is such a beloved franchise. We can't mess up.
It doesn't get enough recognition that it definitely deserves, especially with games. And I love the first Space Marine, and I just came out of nowhere. I'm like, please play this. You played it, and you're like, it was great.
I remember playing it. I must have had just the trailer, the free download demo as a kid. And I could never find it after that. And I was like, oh, well, whatever. And then later you were talking about it. I'm like, I remember that. I really wish I would have gotten it.
It was so good. And I guess you can sign up for like the multiplayer beta or something. That's what I would assume because they said sign up, or maybe it won't have multiplayer. The first one did, and it was fun. They just put you in a big arena. They give you the jump pack and a hammer. And they're like, go beat each other up. And
obviously you need the hammer. I am curious for the story on this one. I really am, because Titus, spoiler alert for everybody if you haven't played it, gets arrested at the end of the last one.
By an Inquisitor.
And he only had those 2 or 3 of the marks.
Yeah, and that's what we talked about in that episode. Now he has 4, so it's been 4.
So, but that means he's back out in service. I don't think they would give him one just for existing. Yeah. So I'm curious to see what happened.
I think probably what is going to come from that is just he was taken into custody. They did all their trials and stuff on him. And
what if they've explored his ability to manipulate the warp?
Ooh. And maybe they're like, okay, we keep your eye on you, but we're going to put you back into the field.
Yeah, they're going to put that dumb loser Leandros on there for him to be like, Leandros is going to keep an eye on you. Even though Titus just gave him the verbal smackdown.
I love that. I love that at the end of the game. Just
You know he's just walking away like, yeah, I won that one. And Leandros is like, crap, he won that one.
It's like you had one duty and you failed at it. And it wasn't even a hard duty.
But he's like, it's every Space Marine's duty to interpret the something Xerxes or I don't know, whatever they talk about. And he's like, and you failed. It's like, whoa.
And it's just how very just nonchalant and also pious at the same time. It's a perfect blend. And there's an interview with the guy who's talking about doing all the motion cap. And I'm like, if they're doing motion cap for it, I'm like, there's some dollars going into this.
Oh, yeah, like the body motion and stuff?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's,
And all the cities that are being shown off and...
all the different, like temples and, oh.
This is what I'm feeling like it's going to be. I think it's going to be like Gears of War. Which one was it? 4, 5, where it had side missions?
They had side missions?
Yeah, one of them did. I'm just trying to remember which one.
I played the first 3 and I think Judgment Day.
Oh. Yeah, it wasn't until 4 or 5 on the Xbox One where they had side missions. It was just like for additional story, if that makes sense. Like, here's the main path, but they set it up in a way it's like, oh, you can go and do this and get a little more of the world and narrative opened up a little bit.
Well, heck yeah, I hope they do that.
Yeah, I think that would be cool, especially for this. A lot of times, how do I put it? When I say side quests, you're usually expecting to get XP and some items. But for a shooter like Gears of War or Space Marine, that wouldn't make a lot of sense. So I kind of feel like it would just be alternative, just like, oh, I saved this platoon, but we found out how did all the, Tyranids get here? Oh, it was because this thing landed here. Like, just little pieces of lore and narrative that you can just pick up.
I almost wonder if they're going to throw a little bit more customization into this one, though.
I hope so. That'd be cool.
I'm curious to see what they do. I hope. I loved the first one. It got a teensy bit repetitive.
Oh,
but
yeah,
I mean, it's
definitely.
a shooter, so it's exactly what you...
If you really boil down the first one, it is a collection of very pretty looking hallways that you just trudge down.
Yeah, it really is. But I mean, it was so much fun, and the story was engaging enough.
Exactly, and that's what carried it. And no,
I mean, once you got the hammer, game over. I didn't give a crap after that. All I wanted was that hammer and to beat stuff down with it.
I kind of feel like they'll probably take some light RPG elements and just like, oh, you can upgrade this ability so you do this better.
That's what I was like, maybe giving some abilities a little bit more in the weapon choice area and just go from... Honestly, that's all you need. Warhammer's such about massive planet-sized battles. I'm cool with that.
I wonder if there's going to be a little bit of like a platoon or like RTS element where you're like controlling troops or like ordering troops to like, all right, you attack up here while I lead down here. I don't know, a lot of speculation, but in that developer update they talked about, you haven't seen anything yet, or you wait till you see what we got. I'm very excited for that one.
I am too.
And after seeing all this, I was like, my passion and love for like, oh my gosh, I'm actually excited for these games. Like Bolt Gun, I didn't want to play anything else other than Bolt Gun, I guess, apparently. Because I was sitting there like, I just want to play Bolt Gun. Because those like few frames of gameplay, I was like, oh, that looks fun.
That one definitely seemed...
really
that touched a nostalgic part of my heart where it's like, I'm like, oh yeah,
I think it was
can't wait.
Doom, but also what's really funny about Warhammer, which I've noticed compared to other universes and shooters, it is very colorful. And you would not expect it. Like all the Space Marines have bright armor.
For how dark of a universe it is.
Yes.
But it's kind of cool at the same... Like, I think they mesh that together very well.
They really do. They really do. They mesh that together perfectly. So, yeah, the Warhammer thing got dropped. All right, so our next topic is something I'm super excited about. It was dropped. It's going to be a PS5 and PC release so far. The Callisto Protocol. That's right, because Callisto is one of the moons of Jupiter, right?
Yes. So they call it, I think it was like the dead moon of...
Yes, they call it the dead moon. And what's so funny is I, did some hunting around and some people were talking about it on the interwebs, and everyone was like, this just feels like Dead Space. It feels like Dead Space. It feels like Dead Space. So I'm sitting there and I do research and I go onto the website and they list the guy, which I can actually get his name for everyone. But this was the guy who was the like creative director, creative lead on the original Dead Space.
Oh, I do have to point out the Space Marine 2 is on PlayStation and Xbox.
Okay, so you did find that?
Yes,
Okay,
that's what
cool,
I was.
cool.
I'm sorry, I was quiet. I was like, wait, I gotta find this out. But yeah, no, the Callisto. They've already called it out as like the successor to Dead Space, unless that was just a fan theory thing. But
I mean, it might as well be. All right, there he is, Glenn Schofield, and there is a video I watched on him. It's called War Stories Glenn Schofield. Look that up, where he is describing him and his team trying to build the scene in Dead Space where you go to the hallway and the giant tentacle grabs you and pulls you. And
yeah.
you have to shoot off the bulbs or it's going to pull you in that hole. What was so crazy about it was you look at it and go, oh, okay, I see how they developed it. And then he's describing it and he's like, out of everything we've done up until this point, this was like an impossible task. And we almost cut it from the game because we didn't think we could do it. But, you know, then they figured out a way to do it. And it was just really interesting to see.
And that was like one of the most...
When you first play it for the first time...
Scared the living crap out of me the first time. Just because you're like, oh no, what am I supposed to do? I'm going to die. It's dragging me. I thought it was like a glitch and I was dead. And then I realized I could still control the character. Oh,
yeah, that's what I was. I just sat there and I didn't do anything because it's a cutscene, and then I'm like, oh no, I have to shoot.
You just wasted half your time because you're like, oh crap.
I died the first 2 times I came to that. So it's the setup takes place on a prison planet on the dead moon of Jupiter. I already forgot what it was. And it looks very Dead Space-ish, and it's like a third-person survival horror. Oh, it looks so good.
Yeah, I'm currently watching this trailer. And it looks like dark. It looks
like that big robot machine bodyguard just blowing off the heads of the dudes. I don't even know what they did. And then when you're the one shot when you're slipping past the guy who was like in that cocoon and his eyeball moves like while
like watching you as you're trying to sneak past them and
yeah, and it's definitely going along that same line of Dead Space narratively, because recently I just finished going through a video that's like 2.5 hours long of the entire story of Dead Space, including books, movies, and the games. And what it kind of came down to was the necromorphs did not become the biggest fear. It was the unitologist religion that became the biggest fear for me anyways, because like they're crazy and smart, and that's scary.
Well, that was what I actually thought was really cool, was in the first one, it's like, oh no, monsters, and then afterward it's like, no, the monsters are a symptom. It's the people you gotta freak out about.
Yeah, because they're like, oh, we have to worship the marker, and this is a religious symbol, a religious relic, however you want to say it.
But their entire goal was just to kill everybody. They thought that was
ascension. That was going to the afterlife. That was the next step in human evolution.
Cult mindset.
Oh, and
but this is one that succeeded.
Yeah.
It's I mean, I guess you could call the Catholic Church a cult, depending on how you look at its origins.
Depending on perspective, you could probably put any religious sect into that category.
Well, because I was going to say there's been no successful cults because they all fall apart, because cults are usually started from somebody with like an egomaniac or a psychopath, for somebody who eventually implodes and the cult fails.
Yes.
Sometimes in very drastic and bloody ways.
With like necromorphs.
That's what I was gonna. And this one succeeded, and that's a terrifying thought.
Yeah, and just in the trailer, how the guy is just saying like, "I'm offering you new life, man." And the thing is how laid back and like, bro, like this guy sounds like he's gonna skate on by on a longboard wearing a Hawaiian shirt with like, just like smoking.
Bro, why
smoking
are you fighting so hard?
He's like, I'm offering you new life. That old life, throw it away, man. Throw it away.
It's not cool. Don't you want to be cool, bro?
Do you want to be that cool goblin man downstairs that is like 2 people fused into one?
And it's just sitting there tearing a poor innocent person limb from limb.
In half, just ripping it apart.
And it's just like, do you want to be the dude dying or the one, who reached ascension?
And my favorite thing about the setup is it's a prison. No one's going out there. If you put a prison all the way on a dead moon, Jupiter, like...
I have always loved concepts like that. Just prison colony, bad stuff happens, and it's because it's that psychological fear of there's no oversight. What's going to happen? Like, anything goes and you are just screwed.
And usually the setup for that is just all the I almost turned into a necromorph right there.
I was getting ready to run for the door.
All the setup for that is like all the wardens and guards. They're like a private military, and they're like, "There's no one coming out here. If you disobey us, we just kill you."
Yeah,
and that's a super interesting setup. And I know the only other game that I can think of that's done that is Chronicles of Riddick: Escape from Butcher Bay on the Xbox original one. You ever play that?
I never played it. I actually never saw all the movies either. I only saw the second one.
They're weird. They're like pitch black, and then there was
I know
just
I didn't
Riddick, and then there was Chronicles of Riddick in between.
Maybe Chronicles of Riddick is the one. That's the third one, right? Where he like takes over that necromorph army or whatever they were called.
Oh, you keep what you kill.
Yeah,
That was the second one, because the first one was pitch black, and then Riddick was one a lot later, where it kind of went back to the original. They're weird movies. They're enjoyable, but just there's something just strange about them. I think Vin Diesel is a strange thing about him.
Yeah, he puts a weird twist on a lot of stuff. Some people like it, some people don't. I'm not judging it. He puts a weird twist on his character.
Out of everyone I would expect to be an actor, Vin Diesel I would not expect to be an actor.
He's trying to be a singer now too.
Really?
He put out a song. You can look it up. I know I'm not BSing on that because I heard the song. It wasn't terrible. I mean, it was
just Vin Diesel.
He doesn't have a career in music, but it wasn't bad. Like, it's better than anything I could ever hope to do.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, there's another Riddick movie coming out.
Of course there is.
But we're getting off. Anyway, the prison Callisto.
Yeah, Callisto Protocol. It seems very creepy. It seems very strange, very...
Well, it looked like in the trailer too, he had a gun and he was using a gun, but it wasn't stopping him. Like gameplay footage, you were shooting them, and they just charged you anyway. So I'm curious to see if they're gonna go the other route of, use tools that are more effective, or if it's just. I
don't think he could get away with the limb dismemberment mechanic just because the remake of Dead Space is slated for at the end of this year.
Oh, that's right.
Which, if you're ready to hop off the Callisto Protocol and hear me complain about that, we can do that if you would like.
You don't want the remake?
I don't want the remake. Because
it's just the original game updated graphics, right? Or is it
but
like
the
a
thing
full
is,
overhaul?
I'm afraid they're going to do a full overhaul, because once you gather all the pieces of the original story, it's good. The only reason it failed was because of EA marketing it so poorly and then forcing the developers to change direction to appeal to
But I thought the first one was like a huge
the first
hit.
one was huge. Second one didn't sell as many. So with that being said, EA was like, all right, third one, you have to make it an action game. I do enjoy the third one, but it's not survival horror.
It was
because
just
I
a
feel
third-person shooter.
I feel so empowered when I play it. I don't feel scared. I'm just, I was happy that there was some, not really resolution, but some resolution to the story. But
they definitely left it open-ended.
Yep, with the moons and all them colliding into Earth. It was like, it was fun. I enjoyed it, but at the same time, they killed it because people went to the third one like, this is an action game. This isn't, the original. The second one, out of all of them, it's like the second one's fantastic. It's that blend of horror and also
shooter. It's got enough.
Yeah,
it's scary. It's a shooter, but it's still scary when you're shooting. You are scared because you're shooting because you're scared.
Yes.
I guess that's the best way. If you are like not letting go of that trigger, you are crapping your pants because you're like, I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die. Plus, like you're saying, that story, there was more customizable stuff. Like, I agree. I think the first one will always have a special place in my heart.
Oh yeah, if you were gonna rank them, it would be Dead Space 2, Dead Space 1, only because Dead Space 2 just took everything Dead Space 1 did and just pushed it a little more. Yep.
Yeah.
And then Dead Space 3 at the bottom.
Yeah. So let's see what happens with. I think that's why they're doing Callisto. They're giving it a new.
Well, this is a totally different studio.
Well, different studio, different title. So I think that guy wants to go back to his roots.
Exactly. And he worked on the first one, and the second one he was involved with, but not a lead, and then he's not even credited on the third one because he never worked on the third one.
Yeah, because he was probably like, "You guys killed my dream.
Yeah.
I'm not doing this."
And I think what's cool about gaming right now is that it costs a lot more to make games, yes, but also to start up a company just with a name alone based off of your credentials. Like people, I mean, you always got to get money from somewhere, right? An investor from somewhere to start up. They're like, if they look at their track record, they're like, oh, we have faith in you. You can do it. So like these guys who, think about it, like 15, 20 years ago, that would not be possible to do. But now they're like, oh, look at them. And they're like, okay, we see your track record. Pump us out something awesome. Here's the money.
Yeah, because as long as they can make a good game, the money that comes in later is the marketing. Like, just get the freaking name out there.
Yes. I mean, even though it's so annoying that I get the Raid Shadow Legends ads all the time on my phone, like whenever I'm watching a video, and that game's super popular because they're obnoxious with the marketing, and eventually someone breaks down, they're like, all right, I'll give it a try, and they're like, hey, it ain't half bad. You know what I mean? And yeah, they just...
Yeah, it's just getting the name out there. And just on that note, guys, tell everybody it sure is a podcast on whatever you want to stream it on. Thank you.
Yes, actually, numbers have been going up. I noticed this past week through all our episodes, I'm like, these numbers are a little higher than usual.
Good. Please keep spreading the word. We appreciate it.
We got to lower those. So let me just start saying terrible things into the mic. And everyone just like, all right,
You're just like, I'm not comfortable with these high numbers. So here's what I think. I'm not going to say
Here's what I think of this subject.
I almost said something, and that really would have tanked our numbers. So
yeah, no tanking of the numbers, please. The Dead Space thing, it really upset me because they're like, here's the old graphics and renders. Here's the new ones. And I'm just looking at it and I'm like, it just looks a little better.
That's the thing, is the original Dead Space
still looks great. It still looks great.
You play it now and it looks like it was developed now.
Yeah.
They put a lot of time and effort into
And the reason I think it holds up is they went for an art style and didn't go for realistic.
And that's the thing, is the only thing that didn't look super realistic were people's faces. Yeah. Everything else looked highly realistic. The monsters, the armor, the weapons, the world.
Yeah. What always bothered me about the Necromorphs was the little set of arms that came out of the stomach intestines. What are those for?
To creep you out.
I think that's what it is. Cause
like, as he's stabbing you, it's little hands just, like, giving you a titty twister. And you're like, I'm dying, and you are giving me a purple nurple? Are you serious? This is messed up. I never thought of that.
Like, getting stabbed right through the chest, and then the little arms come up and just squeeze. And
they're just like, Hong Kong! And you're like, what?
So you're telling me I'm getting killed by a monster and sexually assaulted all at once?
Yeah, it's terrifying. It is truly terrifying.
Or the little hands are down there at the intestine, so it's just like, just like punch you in the nutsack or just like groping you.
Or it's like slipping, why? It's like ripping your intestines out and little hands are just like pulling the intestines out. And you're just, like, it's terrifying to think about what they could do.
Those little hands, what they do. Oh, yeah. I'll keep my eye on that Dead Space remake, but I'm definitely not going to go out
I'm not dropping $60 or $70 on it.
Yeah,
I refuse.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to wait, and I'm just going to... The time hasn't gone past enough for it to deserve a remake.
Yeah, 2014, wasn't it? Or no, it was way early, like 2008.
Yeah. But, I mean...
Yeah, but still, it's not like it's 20 years old.
Remasters and remakes of games usually happen, like...
Well, it is EA. They probably don't have any talent to come up with new ideas.
Yeah, so they're just going to rehash the old ones and probably butcher it.
That's annoying as heck. Guys, just come up with new stuff.
No, because new stuff doesn't bring the people in. Don't you understand?
It does. I'm playing old games, but I'm playing the original old games. I'm not playing remakes of games. Except Mass Effect. However, that's not a remake. That's literally just them.
They just up the graphics. And
they just put it on a new console.
I think they just should have just done a remaster in the sense of not a remake, remaster. Kind of like Halo 1 Collector's Edition, that Anniversary Edition.
Yes, just so you can play it on your newer consoles.
Yeah.
I'd do that. I'd drop $30 on that.
Yeah, but include 1, 2, and 3? Yeah.
You could recoup all of your horrible losses from before because you could throw a little bit of marketing in there and people would love it.
Yeah.
But this is, again, corporate ball sacks, and they don't know what they're doing.
Exactly.
So.
So we've reached the end of all the trailers that kind of came out that interest me, but I do want to throw in a very nice little head nod at the end there, and I am watching the time.
Oh,
because I keep seeing you looking at your watch. Because I know you have a place to be, and we got to get to the other half of this episode.
I'm also drinking a beer right now, so I'm kind of watching my heart rate too.
Oh, you got one of those fancy watches that can keep
just the Fitbit. But I am. We will get to it real fast. But I am switching my work schedule here shortly because I got to. I'm gonna jump on the fitness train.
Fitness.
I'm like 40 pounds overweight. Well, maybe not that. I'll go like 25, 30 pounds overweight, and I have to.
I'm always adamant about fitness. I've become gross. I am doing creatine powder now.
No, that's good. You dropped a bunch of weight. You already look good. So if you start putting on muscle, this podcast is going to end because you will look too. First off, you're tall. Second off, you just dropped a bunch of weight. So like right there, girls just like tall guys.
Tall guys.
Now if you start putting on muscle, you're just going to be dating all the time and getting all the women. And I'm just going to be here like, so guys, yeah, it's just me today. Brandon's out, that, on the P word patrol again, and he's texting me. He's like some crazy coke orgies that he's at, and I guess today I'll talk about Mass Effect again.
I know Noah from the Off the Air podcast. He would love that episode. He's like, just talk about Mass Effect. I love Mass Effect.
Oh, I could do my own podcast on Mass Effect.
On just the Mass Effect itself. But what I was going to say before that, so recently a game that I brought up in the past and I love very, very, very much, Hypercharge Unboxed. It's that first-person shooter that's with all the action figures. Like you play as little action figure toys and you fight off waves of bouncy balls and other little army men.
I never played it, but I definitely remember hearing about it. Because I was a big fan of...
the Army Man Sergeant's Heroes or whatever it was.
That series.
Yes. It has nothing to do with that. It's just a bunch of guys who are like, I really want to make this game. Apparently, some big-time YouTuber, I don't know the guy's name, SMII7Y. I don't know what that means, but I just remembered that.
I have no idea. I'm
exactly. Brought a lot of popularity to the game. Last night, I was playing... The servers were all full. There were so many people playing in matches, and I could hop in and do... I was just so happy because that game is just so fun. It deserves that recognition, and I was very happy about that. And I wanted to throw that in and that Hypercharge Unboxed. Got some new life breathed into it, whatever you want to say. Very happy.
Mm-hmm.
Very happy about it. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. And then we're going to get into our second half of the episode. Hey, gamer. I'm just taking a second to check in on you. You see, the last time your mom and I were hanging out, she may have subtly dropped the hint that you're not really sure how to support the podcast. And honestly, when I walked out of her room only wearing a bath towel and we locked eyes, I could see it on your face. There's quite a few ways you can support the podcast. You can find us on Twitter at sure_podcast. Over on Instagram, It Sure Is a Podcast, YouTube, and TikTok, It Sure Is a Podcast. That's all you got to look up. And then TikTok is for you Zoomers out there, because I post some real stupid shit there. For Eric and I, you listening is probably just one of the best things in the world. But if you do want to support us, those are ways you can. Also, just tell a friend that, hey, we listened to a terrible podcast. You should hop in on this. Also, if you want to support us monetarily... whatever one that makes you give us money. You can go on over to www.buymeacoffee.com/ISIA podcast. There you can drop us a few bucks and be on your way. But like I said earlier, just you guys listening is really enough for us. Okay, break over. So, here we are. Second half of the episode. This is the part when you really want to watch that video that I put on YouTube. A video for Eric. It's the second half. It starts right around
8:40. No, I lied because it's still in the Callisto Protocol. That is a PlayStation exclusive, that looks like, by the way.
Yeah, but PlayStation is making a push to bring stuff to PC, and then there's going to be a PC port.
Yeah, because they're going to lose too much money if they try to do only PlayStation.
Wait, it starts at it starts at 9:02 technically. So this first trailer is for Kirby. These are old trailers from the 90s and 80s for Nintendo. It's like a buff dude, and Kirby's all warped and weird. What's horrifying about this is just the animation style. But then they get to the end. He eats the dude, right? Spits him out, and the guy is just a melted, like
blob of flesh,
almost looking like he just came out of the Callisto Protocol trailer.
That's exactly what I was
Kirby's all cute, and you're bouncing around, and the setup for the trailer is we got one buff dude, and then we got Kirby. And they're trying to promote the game, and they're just saying, like, hey, you know, Kirby's still awesome, but he's not as buff, but he sucks people up and mutates them into mutants, apparently, like Glob. And the guy kind of looks like a mix between, like, Rambo and Arnold Schwarzenegger, maybe.
Yeah, with a longer wig.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it did make me laugh because it was clearly targeted at young boys because they're just, like, gigantic, ripped, buff. Again, yeah, like you said, Rambo looking dude, and then Kirby just sucks him in, spits him out as a bloody mass of flesh.
Okay,
and then
it just shows the gameplay. And
then it just shows game. Half a second of the gameplay, and then it shows a Game Boy.
Yeah,
'90s marketing was
all right. Mid '90s marketing that was so targeted on making everything masculine, everything cool, everything buff, and people today are complaining about gay people. If I were watching that as a kid, that buff man, you see that man?
Yeah, you shoved muscle dudes down little boys' metaphorical throats.
I'm glad you said metaphorical.
I had to stop halfway through. I'm like,
very much.
I'm not trying to.
Nope.
No, but seriously, and you're like, video games cause violence. No, video games cause a lot of people to look at a muscled ripped dude and be like, I'm gonna play the game.
Video games are turning the friggin' boys gay.
Yeah, Alex Jones got it wrong. But
just watching that, I was like, when he's flexing, I'm just like, that don't look half bad. And that's when the thought popped into my head. I'm like, did I just have a bi-curious thought about a cartoon man from the early 90s?
Well, that's why they had to do the flip side. And in cartoons, every woman was a gigantic, big busted woman, even if she was like 13 years old.
Yeah.
And with like a mini skirt that as a child, you're like, it's a cartoon. Maybe it'll blow up. It's a cartoon. It's not going to blow up. But
yeah. But we can always hope, we can dream.
Yeah. All these old people are like, why are people so weird about sexuality? It's because you shoved every different type of sexuality at us like en masse when we were kids.
And then we developed really weird kinks.
Well, now we're all just horny as hell and we just want to sleep with anything that moves.
We're just buff, what's his name? What's Stallone? Buff Stallone-looking men holding Game Boys. Yes, that is a kink of mine.
I mean,
at the end he holds it, and I'm like, man, you hold my dick like that? But what is horrifying?
The ripped forearm holding the thing. You're just like, oh, that's suggestive.
That is very suggestive. And I think the funniest thing about the Kirby trailers that I picked out, all of them, Kirby's just supposed to be a fun game, and the original design behind Kirby was something that could be complicated if you wanted to with, hard modes and stuff like that, but anyone could pick it up and play it and be successful. And they wanted just something that appealed to everyone, so a cute little pink ball, right? I have Kirby on my leg. I love Kirby. Yeah. Kirby's are my favorite games. I haven't played the most recent one, but I need to. I need to get around to that. But that was their original approach. But when they were marketing it over here to us, they're like, we gotta make it look cool because no one's gonna buy it. Funny thing is, the first Kirby raked in like over 3 million copies sold. Back then, that's huge. Today, that's like whatever.
Yeah, that's like a failure today.
Yeah, but like back then, everyone's like, whoa. Because all right, speaking of failures, Anthem. That BioWare game that completely flopped, right?
I got that for free on the PlayStation. I still haven't played it.
Yeah, I don't recommend it just because they've stopped stuff for it. There's no point getting invested in the story.
Was it
in the world.
Fun?
It was very fun. The combat was very fun. The story was actually intriguing, and if they were allowed to continue, I could see it going down the route of the better BioWare titles. But they never got the chance. That definitely sold over like million copies, like over 3 million, but that was considered a failure.
Yeah.
So just put it in perspective. Yeah. So, all the Kirby trailers. And there's another Kirby trailer that we'll look at after, but we're going to move right along to the next one, which is my favorite. The Super Smash Brothers commercial for the N64. I
remember this as a kid. I started watching it. We were talking earlier. I was like, why does this look familiar? It's just people dressed up in their characters. It's everybody so happy together. And then they just start beating each other.
Just beating the snot out of each other. I like when they grab Yoshi and Donkey Kong and Mario. Like, one holds Yoshi, the other one punches him in the gut. They throw Pikachu. And that memory is seared into my brain of the song. It's like, me, you, and you. And they're just like...
and they're just sitting there just punching each other. Yoshi pulled out a hammer at one point and hit Donkey Kong in the face. Like,
yeah, that was such a popular commercial. I remember seeing that all the time when I was a kid.
Smash Brothers is one of my earliest gaming memories.
I remember we talked about that.
Yeah, like one that was actually seared. There were other games in there, obviously. There were some racing games like Rush and all that, but Super Smash Brothers, I think, was like, as a child, I was like, this is gonna stick with me for a long time, like gaming wise.
Yeah, forever.
And then my older brother kicked my ass and like all the time, and I was like, son of a. And thus also began my long career of living in my older brother's shadow. But that's for my therapist, not for you.
And I love the ending when their slogan was "Get in or get out" with the Nintendo 64
and that's logo. Corporate manipulation. Like, if you aren't doing this, you're uncool.
They were huge,
just like everything else in the 90s. They not only did they want to question your masculinity, they were questioning your popularity. Are you a loser? No. Then buy this. Be in the know.
You want to be a little bitch? No.
That's exactly
then
what they were doing.
Get a Nintendo 64 nerd and play Yoshi Story because that's very masculine. I love Yoshi Story. It's like the most hated Yoshi game among the community. It's my favorite. I love it.
Yoshi Story, wasn't that the one where you could have multiple Yoshis following?
Yeah, and then
I'm pretty sure I played that.
Yeah,
and I thought it was awesome.
You had the multiple Yoshis you can play as, and then when you died, you'd pick another one.
Yeah,
and then you could get an item that would save one from the tower. But if you ran out of Yoshis, the game was over.
Yeah, it was something. Yeah, that was hated.
That was hated.
Oh, wow, man.
Dude, I have it sitting in my N64 at home. I love it.
Let me just point out again another game that I love that everyone else hated.
Yes.
Dark Souls 2. But,
Dark Souls 2.
Andromeda.
Andromeda. Everything you love, people hate.
I know.
That is such a classic commercial of just, yeah.
Little kids, bright graphics, all these characters you know, and fighting. Mm-hmm. Welcome to the 90s marketing.
Mm-hmm.
It was such a wonderful time, and it was also such a really, really bad and messed up
I really don't think they could get away with half this stuff these days. The one Kirby commercial I cannot find, and I wanted to put it in here, but it was taking up too much time. There's one where they're interrogating this guy, and they're like, "Who beat you up?" And it was this little pink guy, and the officer was like, "Caucasian," and the guy's like, "No," he was like, "Just a little pink ball." I was sitting there thinking, like, I don't think they could get away with saying that, like, Caucasian, like.
Maybe not on a commercial, but on a trailer, like online, I bet they could.
Oh.
Because there's a lot more freedom to do what you want now. You just have to be careful where you put it.
Yeah.
So,
but I'm strictly just saying, like, on a TV commercial.
Oh, yeah, no. Yeah, a lot of this stuff they would not
get away with.
Well, because the only people who watch stuff like that on TV trailers are, like, suburban parents who are kind of stupid, and they're like, I don't want my child watching this. This has violence. Meanwhile, little Timmy's and his gang is beating the crap out of some loser, like, nerd kid at school because they think it's funny because he doesn't get enough love at home.
Leave that for your therapist. Speaking of beating the snot out of people,
I got a lot of anger from the 90s, guys.
The next trailer that we have is another Kirby one, which is Kirby Dream Land 3. And Kirby and all his buddies, Kine, the fish, and the bird.
And they're just beating up the bikers.
Yeah, the biker, he's reading that poetry. It's like, friends are there to help you. And they're just beating the snot out of these bikers. The fish is slapping a guy in the face. The guy continues reading. The bird just throws a guy across the bar.
Wow, Kirby looked kind of scary in that part.
When he first walks in. Yeah, and then he sucks in the guy, and he's like...
Well, it didn't look like Kirby. I was like, I think they gave him a bridge line there. Like, that was weird. weird.
Yeah, and he's sitting there and he's like chewing on the body. Oh, it's Dreamland 2. I apologize. Kirby's Dreamland 2. And for Game Boy, and the guy keeps reading, and then Kirby
he just spit out the vest. He killed him.
But yeah, the vest, but not the person.
Yeah, he ate him.
And yeah, that is how aggressive this marketing is.
Oh, I love it. He just
ate the man, had this demonic look on his face, and then spit out the jacket. And he's like, I'm cute, I'm Kirby.
You can't be mad at me.
You can't be mad at me, I'm Kirby. So after the biker one, we're going to move on to the next one. Waiting for it.
Oh my god, I forgot about this.
Oh, the Sprite one with the guy. That's not even a video game commercial. I just put it in there because I love it.
I was watching this. And
this would definitely not get it. You would not be able to get away with this one in any place. Any place.
For everybody watching it. What was his name? The wrestler's name, like Sting or something like that?
Yeah.
He just beats the ever-living crap out of like an 8-year-old boy.
And that would not fly anywhere.
Picked him up and threw him through a door. Ran him along a mantle. And his parents are just there cheering him on as he gets his ass kicked.
Yeah, because at the start of the commercial, it's for Sprite, and they're like, hey, I'm here for the Sprite Network. You wanted a wrestling match?
Yeah, and
it
made it look like the kid was going to drink the Sprite and then beat him at wrestling, and he just gets demolished.
Destroyed.
And that, you know what? Bring back that type of ad.
No, they can't do that anymore. That's what I'm saying. That you could not get away with.
I know, but
you're beating a child.
Oh.
And he takes a sip of the Sprite, and the kid doesn't burp. What kind of demon is this? You know what I'm saying?
But that's what I'm saying is we should definitely beat up more children.
We should beat up more children.
But
yeah, so I love the first instant, picks up the kid, throws him over his shoulder.
Jumps off the stairs and body slammed him.
Yeah, throws him through the doorway, throws him across the mantle.
The parents moved the furniture so he could get his ass kicked.
Like, a part of me feels like there's a deeper lore narrative to this.
Yeah, parents hated their children.
The parents were like, I hate this kid. I hate this friggin' child. So they call Sting and they're like, Sting, we have a job for you. And Sting's like sitting in his office and he's like smoking a cigarette and he's like, what do you want? And he's still in makeup. Like, he's always looking like that. And the parents are like, our little kid, he's a little piece of shit. We want you to come over here, beat him up. And he's like, I got you. I'll be over.
I would totally want to be in marketing if you could do stuff like that today. That was hilarious. I'd have bought Sprite after watching that. Right now, after watching that, like, 30 years later, I want a Sprite.
You want to drink a Sprite?
I don't even like Sprite, and I want a Sprite.
That is the time you want a Sprite. Only when you see this commercial. So they playing something under the guise of like the Sprite Children's Foundation, whatever they said in the trailer, and then he comes and just beats the crap out of the kid, gives him the people's elbow.
That was beautiful. I don't know how I forgot about that commercial.
That commercial also seared into my mind. Like, a lot of commercials are just there resting, especially the one with the air conditioning and calling Sears. That one stuck in my head. Oh. So this next one was interesting, that it was the Atari Jaguar, I believe. And it was like the marketing in video games, and it's all about the numbers. And the only reason I put this one in here is because of like 64 bits. It's like, we're not 16, not 32. We have 64 bits. And then you look at all the games in the trailer and like, these look absolutely terrible. Like,
yeah, by today's standards.
Not by today's standards, by back then standards. Because this was the same time.
Were those all Jaguar games?
Yeah, all those were Jaguar games.
Oh.
Jaguar 64-bit. And the only reason I threw this trailer in there was the Do the Math trailer. And they're yelling about at all those guys. But it reminded me, Call of Duty Black Ops 1. You played that, right?
I definitely played it. I don't remember.
Do you remember the bit at the end? It's like, what do the numbers mean, Mason? What do the numbers mean when he's in the chair? For some reason, that just sparked that memory in my head when I saw the Do the Math.
It's even funnier because I thought they were showing 16 and 32-bit games and then a 64-bit game.
No. They were showing all 64-bit.
Wow, yeah, a lot of those looked really bad.
Yeah, that is why Atari fell off the game console market real fast and was kind of replaced by Sega. That one I only kind of threw in there because they were like, oh, these are so great. And then you see that and you're like, really? because the consoles at the time were pumping out better things than what you just showed.
Oh, and now here's Yoshi.
Oh, yeah, the one when they're eating stuff.
It's just fat bastards just sitting there eating.
I always hated this commercial because I don't understand what they were trying to sell me, but I just witnessed this man sitting here.
And he exploded!
He blows up. Yeah. Sorry. All right. So everyone listening, here's this trailer, right? The other one was just a lady yelling at some dudes. So this one, it is a restaurant, and these people just keep feeding this guy food, and it's showing cuts of Yoshi's Island.
Mildly racist, might I add, because it is a very large Italian man eating a lot of pasta.
Yeah, they filled that man with pasta.
And he just...
And a lot of food's being stuffed in this guy's mouth, and they're showing clips of Yoshi.
He's feeding himself, and like buttons are popping off of his shirt and pants as he's doing it, and it's like it's showing that, and then a half-second snapshot of Yoshi, and then
Yoshi's
back to the
Island.
dude eating.
It was Super Mario World 2, Yoshi's Island, the one when you had to carry around baby Mario.
Yeah.
And then it gets to the end, they keep feeding this guy, and just snippets of gameplay in between, and it's so gross, and they're like zooming in on his mouth.
And he's got like food all over his face. He's got stains on his shirt.
Exactly. And then it gets to the end, he takes like one bite of like ice cream, and he gets this look on his face, and then he just blows up into green, slimy goo.
All over another person at the restaurant.
And then spaghetti falls on the box at the end.
Yeah.
Which came from the man. And it says play loud, and it's all in green goo.
It just... Oh.
That trailer, I don't understand what they were going for there.
They're like, Yoshi eats things. And it's like, no, Yoshi doesn't. I mean, he does a little bit, but like...
He doesn't eat to that extent?
Yeah.
Is that what you're trying to... Okay.
I would say Kirby. That would be more apt for like Kirby.
Yeah, that would be a better commercial for Kirby. Like that man and Kirby having an eating contest. He blows up and Kirby remains the same.
Yeah.
I instantly just gave you a better trailer. And they're just like, oh, we're just going to have a grown man explode on TV into green goo. And it's pretty graphic. Everyone sitting around gets covered in it.
Yeah, that was very graphic, especially for younger kids.
Yeah, but this was the 90s, baby.
Yeah,
commercials. It was the Wild West out there.
You better be okay to like... Well, actually... You were just so inundated with it all. You didn't even... As a kid, you're like, this is awesome. As an adult, you're like, this makes no sense. What did I just watch?
And I think it was just because of the edgy, cool factor that we were...
Oh, that's all they wanted was for it to stick in your mind. You didn't even care why. You just remembered Yoshi's Island.
Because of
Mom, Dad, buy it for me. Buy it for me. Buy it for me.
Yeah, because if it sticks in your mind, you're going to think about it. And you're going to think about it. And eventually you're going to buy it.
Parents didn't love you, and they're like, oh, if I buy it for you, will you just shut up? Will you shut up? So your mother can make dinner, and I can sit here and drink a beer and watch the game.
Which game? Probably, tone of that voice, it sounds like he probably watched golf. I don't understand people who watch golf.
I felt like that was a rich person sport back then.
Yeah.
I feel like if you were lower class, you were watching like football and basketball.
Something more aggressive.
Yeah, because you're just like, I just want to hit something. Tackle everybody. Come on. I want to watch the cheerleaders, and I want to tackle them.
Definitely golf is more fun to play than it is to watch.
Yes. Now that I am playing it a little bit more, I'm curious about trying to watch it to see if I like it or if it's still just boring.
I could just still see it just being boring only because... I don't know. There's certain sports that are a lot more fun to play than it is to watch.
Excuse me.
Now, football... Honestly, I think it's the sports that you have access to that you can play are much more fun. Like volleyball, basketball... I mean, you can play football, but what in our area, do we have football leagues? I think we have like flag football leagues.
Yeah, it's a lot of like intramural.
But who wants to play flag?
Stuff.
Yeah, who wants to play flag football? Like baseball, softball, that's more fun playing than it is watching.
I just don't like sports. That's why I play video games.
That is true.
If I want to play a sport, I'll play a video game.
That is true.
To do it.
And it's going to be a Mario sport. It's not going to be like an actual sports game. You're like, oh, I'm going to play Mario Golf.
Yeah, where you can yeah.
It's colorful. It's fun. You hit the golf ball. It goes soaring, 500 miles away, and it's not even possible. And you're playing as a little toad man.
Mutant League Hockey on the Sega.
Ooh.
I take it back. That. Repressed memory. That
Was it repressed or is it a memory that you just unlocked with the statement?
I like unlocked better because repressed memory sounds a little bit rapey-davy, and I don't like it. So
yeah, no. Not repressed. Just you unlocked a memory.
Oh, that game was so fun. But anyway, we got to get back to the trailers. But Mutant League Hockey, find it, play it. It's amazing. Also very violent for hockey.
Very violent for hockey. And out of all these trailers, Kirby had the weirdest ones, and this one with the finger trailer.
I am like halfway through it, and I figure I would just watch it, and we'll.
It's just Kirby walking around with his giant finger,
like a single finger, not a hand, a finger.
And my favorite thing about it is when Kirby sees the manhole cover, and this is all live action. It's like people in costumes, right?
Yeah, it's like Muppet costumes kind of type.
I would probably lean more toward like mascot size. You know what I mean?
Like yeah, that's better. Costume. That's a little.
So they're walking down the street and there's a manhole cover.
And instead of walking around
that's what I was going to say.
Because it's a whole street.
Instead of walking around it, he forces the finger down and hops on it and walks across it.
I definitely, I know this was for kids. I knew it wasn't going to be sexual. But as an adult, I'm like, where's this going? Kirby eats things and there's just a finger there. Like, who? What?
What?
Was some marketing executive just like
horny
finger blasting his young intern that didn't want to get fired, and he's like, oh, I got a great idea for a commercial now.
A commercial with finger and pink.
That's exactly what I'm like. Yeah, he's like, oh, inspiration.
So the next thing is the finger push him on the swing. Then they see a rainbow road and the finger pushes,
go to the
Kirby
rainbow,
that way.
Yeah.
And then they walk down. It's for Kirby Canvas Curse, and the whole point of the game was for you to use the stylistic guide.
It was back when, the touch technology was starting to come to the Game Boy a little bit.
The Nintendo DS. Try that. It was not the Game Boy, it was Nintendo DS. Oh, and then we got to the final set, which they are amazing. The final set trailers. Yeah, that one's just creepy, and I just feel like, at some point in that trailer, you could probably insert just a completely black screen and just the sound, and I don't think anyone would question it.
No, people would not have questioned it.
They would just be probably after he's pushed him on the swing, and it's just a brief cut of just complete black and that noise, and then it just keeps going with the commercial as usual.
Everybody would be like, I wonder what that was. Doesn't matter.
They're like, this is edgy and it's the 80s, so okay. Okay, so I need to get this guy's name correct before we go into the last set of commercials here. And I just want to get his name correct. I just want to get it right. Okay. Oh, I'm going to mess this up. Okay, so the last set of commercials are for the Sega Saturn. These are wacky and weird.
Yeah.
And it is... Okay, so there's an actor... I won't pronounce his name, but Japanese guy, Sagata Sanshiro, was the man that was in the commercial. That was the character that was to sell the Sega Saturn. So as I watch it, I'm going to give all the listeners just a step-by-step of what we're seeing. And I'm just not going to give it in context, okay? So it's Japanese family. They're all sitting in,
living room,
Christmas time, very clear, very loving family. Funny thing is, I don't know if they celebrate Christmas exactly.
I'm wholly ignorant of that. I have no idea.
I just know culturally, Christmas is more aimed as a Christian holiday, and I know a lot of...
But it's really more of a pagan holiday too, which is like...
It's a very weird spot. So, okay, so we're having this very weird commercial, and if they do, awesome. I just don't know. So they're sitting around having fun, and you see Santa's boots walk up, and then Santa's standing there, and the kid's like, "Oh, Santa Claus!" And it's all in Japanese, I believe.
Yeah.
And I hope I have it right, because I'm ignorant of that. So then this man rips off the Santa Claus face, peels it off.
It's like a mask, and he just rips it off.
And it's our man that I just said his name and completely forgot. So apologies. He rips his face off and he's mad under the mask. And the kids jump back and they're like, ah! And he just pulls out a Sega Saturn and screams at them, and it just shows a bunch of different games. And then they're all like, cool. And then the commercial ends. And there's another variation of it that's very similar, but just a few scenes are added or taken out. And that one was my favorite. So just imagine Christmas morning. You're sitting there. and Santa walks in. You're like, whoa, Santa! And Santa just peels his face off to reveal a very angry man under there.
Sega Saturn, play it!
Yeah, and he hands you a Sega Saturn. I would love that because my favorite Sonic game ever is on that console, and I still have it for PC. Sonic R, Sonic Racing, also has the best soundtrack ever. Ever. And I will die on that hill. So those commercials, all these Sega Saturn commercials, the last little bit are just bizarre. So the next one, it opens up. There's a woman passed out, a kid on top of the lady trying to wake her up, and it's a house fire.
Yeah, it's just a full-on house fire.
And the dude just bursts through the door, gives her CPR, and like looks up from her mouth and says like Sega Saturn.
And then just goes back to like, yeah.
And it just shows some trailer for Burning Rangers. And then he just keeps sucking on the kid's mom's face. And the kid's trying to pull him up.
Like, she's dead. We're gonna die. We need to leave. And it could just end.
And the trailer ends.
Wow. 90s.
And the trailer ends. So this man just bursts in, starts making out with your unconscious mom. And you're like, get off of her. And it's a grown man and you're a child and can't do anything about that.
In the middle of a house fire. I don't understand.
Horrifying.
Yeah.
The next one, it's for a baseball game. He's sitting there, winding up. He's ready. He kicks the ball.
And so he has a bat in his hands, swings the bat, stops halfway through, and karate kicks the ball.
The thing is, if you were to do that in real life, your foot would be shattered.
Absolutely.
Destroyed. Bone shards jetting out of your foot.
I wonder how many children broke their feet and ankles after this commercial.
Oh my gosh, they had to have.
I bet it was hundreds.
And the place he hit.
Right where you... Oh.
We have all... It's a part of skin, when it's... How do I put it? It's that... All right, it's not your ankle. It's not your toes. It's the area in between. That's where he hits... That's where he kicks the ball. And we have all hit our foot off of a metal post, a bed frame. We've all hit our foot there. And how painful that was. So imagine someone whipping a baseball as fast as they can, a professional, and then you kicking it. Oh,
just Dead Space style, your foot falls off.
Oh, it just explodes in just blood and guts. And then he kicks it, home run. He screams Sega Saturn and shows some gameplay. And then at the end, he's just there.
Just taking balls to the chest.
He's just taking balls to the chest. He's standing
baseballs.
there, holding his shirt open. And just taking baseballs to the chest. It's like, boop, boop, boop. And he's just looking
again,
there like...
masculinity. Like, I can take these balls to the chest. It just...
And no wonder there's so many gay people, which is absolutely awesome. And I'm happy that they, are being themselves. But
it makes me laugh so hard.
Just all those balls hitting that man in the chest. I'm like, what else could a chest take? You're just like, eh.
It also completely escaped me that this was the same guy in all the trailers.
Oh, it's all the trailers. The one after that it's Sakura Wars.
Yeah, I'm definitely watching it, and I'm not.
So, all right. When you watch the trailer, there's like a woman who peeks out behind a tree. There's cherry blossoms everywhere, all pink. She's like, hee hee, and he's like, oh my love, and he's chasing her.
And he's like, yeah, smiling, and they're both giggling, waving, and he catches her,
and then they hug, but she doesn't look like she wants to be hugged. But now they're cuddling, and he's happy, but she's like, the eyes are wide, like, please help me. That was
so...
And then it transitions into Sakura Wars, which Sakura Wars is pretty much the same thing, but it's like a romance dating sim, but also a tactics mech game, and also depending on what Sakura Wars you're playing, they also all participate in theater. Like, they're all Broadway actors.
Wow, that's a lot of angles.
A lot of angles. It's pretty cool, though. But, yeah, and then they're just playing with the cherry blossoms, and he assaults her with those cherry blossoms.
Yeah, she like, knocked her over with the volume of cherry blossoms.
And he's, like, throwing them up like snow, and she's like,
and then started ducking.
Stop it! And then we finish off with our last one, which is my favorite, and I do not understand it at all. 3 kids walking down an alleyway with all baseball gear, and I'm like, oh, it's a baseball game, another one.
He just bumps into him and falls down.
Right, and he just looks at him. And he just starts beating the absolute crap out of them. And they're all in a pile.
He flipped one over, chokehold. Yeah, and then they're just literally
the chokehold. They definitely did the leather sound, like the leather stretching sound.
Yeah,
like when he's like, about to break a neck.
And
right?
then he just pulls out the Sega Saturn and is like, play it.
Yeah, he's like, get rid of baseball, play it. And then it's Sonic Racing.
Yeah.
That game I was talking about. A racing game. I don't know why he beat up those children. And he leaves the Sega Saturn there.
Yeah. Probably, it's awesome. It's epic. There.
So he just beat up he committed a crime, beat up some children, leaves the Sega Saturn there.
And just walks away.
All
while in a gi, like the traditional martial arts uniform.
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention he's wearing that in all the commercials. He's always wearing that, and like the sun's setting, he's walking away very triumphantly, and he just beat up
as he left like 3 10-year-olds like beaten and bloodied on the side of a road.
Yes, I don't know what they were trying to sell. I mean, Sonic Racing is awesome. I love that game.
I bet it worked.
I mean, it didn't for me because my mom just saw it and she's like, "Oh, I know you like Sonic," and then. On my Windows 98, I played that game so much. So much. I can't even tell you how much I played that game. I love that game. I still have my original copy. That is the one thing out of all the games I've traded and sold over the years, I couldn't get rid of that. Not that one. It holds such a good memory. And then soundtrack, just thinking about it. And the soundtrack is so bizarre because it's like R&B, jazz, soul music with an upbeat tempo. It is wild. Definitely, I will send you links to. This is the soundtrack for all these games, and I will send it to you. And you're like, "What is this?" Yeah, bizarre game, but I loved it. Okay, we finished record time. Like looking at the time, it gives us enough time for you to go do adult things, me to do adult things, and we got through everything without any sidetracking.
We stayed focused on the games. I am proud of us.
I am proud of us too. We derailed a little bit, but we always got back on track. And
it related to what we were trying to say, though.
Yeah.
We didn't go off on our random like corpse stuffing on a hook thing. That was during our funeral episode. How we wanted our funerals to go.
Oh my gosh!
That one derailed pretty hard.
Yeah, and
funny, hilarious, but
derailed from what we were originally talking about. Any notable mentions other than next week we're going to be just talking about that summer game fest of just some cool things we saw, some things that interested us. Our peepers opened up and we looked.
I don't really have anything yet. I kind of want to just see what gets announced. I don't really have anything I'm expecting or what my hope, this is big game brands, right? Like across the spectrum.
Yeah, hopefully like Dragon Age Dreadwolf will get some gameplay.
That would be cool because I know that's at the very least in development because they did that one trailer. I'm hoping for something about Elder Scrolls. I don't foresee it because they just did the anniversary upgrade and all that. They're still working on all of their other titles. I think there is a Fallout that might get some mention because I saw something about a new Fallout game as well.
Okay. And I was going to say, I don't think anything Elder Scrolls because, what's that, the Space Elder Scrolls, what's that called?
Wow, how am I blanking on this?
I'm blanking on it too.
Not
Starfield.
Starfield, yeah.
That got delayed. So, that got delayed. It was like, yeah, we'll do it maybe 2023, maybe. And Todd Howard shrugged.
I hate Todd Howard. I really do.
So that's what you're looking for? Just maybe
I was hoping
Scrolls.
Even just a new trailer to be like, hey guys, it's in development. We are working.
So it's like the Elder Scrolls,
Damn it.
And instead of going over that mountain range, just say Elder Scrolls whatever number. It's just a different mountain range, and it's like clear that you
just
can be like,
tell me where it takes place. Give me hope.
It probably takes place in
the Redguard place.
I forget what that is, but
I'm such a bad fan, guys. I'm tired. It was a long week at work.
Bad fan.
Hammerfell,
maybe.
Wait, Hammerfell's not the Redguard, is it?
I think it.
Now I gotta go play Skyrim because I am so ashamed of myself for not knowing
play it?
this.
Just go on Google and be like, what's Hammerfell?
Atonement. I am an Elder Scrolls huge fan, and I don't even know this basic information. I must atone for my sinful behavior.
You know what I want out of this? I just want some gameplay for the games we discussed earlier, but that was at the Warhammer Skulls thing, so I doubt that we'll get more gameplay. But also, I just want them to shadow drop some games. I don't even care what the games are. I
Just
love
like
that.
out of the blue.
Just say like, hey, here's a trailer for our game. It comes out later today. Like Nintendo does all the time.
I mean, I'd be cool with that.
I love when studios do that because, one, I wasn't sitting here getting hyped. I had no expectations, and whatever I'm going to play, I'm like,
yep.
that's pretty cool. You know what I mean? Like, there was no expectations, and I'm not upset. I get what I get, and I don't throw a fit. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah. So I'm like you. I'm gonna try to just go in open mind, see what they show, and hopefully it's some cool stuff.
I hope it's just maybe a new IP here or there. I love that. I love new ideas. I love it.
Yeah. Yes.
All right. With all that being said, we'll traditionally close out this episode as we've been needing to for the past few weeks. Thank you for listening, as always.
Yes.
And hey, it is the month of Pride Month, so be sure to be awesome, just in general, but be awesome, even maybe a little more awesome to your friends who maybe are under LGBTQ plus the premium gay. That's a joke that's going around TikTok. I'm not being a jerk. I think it's
I'm glad
hilarious.
you explained that for me because I'm over here. I'm like,
because this kid is asking. He's like, LGBTQ plus. What's the plus for? Is it like premium gay? And the thing was, the kid sounds so genuine that you were like, I think he's seriously asking. And then the gay community on TikTok like came out and they're just like geeking out at it. They're just like, maybe. I mean, the plus is just for any other identifying things. Yeah, just be extra awesome, be cool, because that's
just be kind and love each other.
Exactly. That's
In
all
a
we
world
want.
filled with hate.
And
just don't be a political douche.
Don't be, yeah.
Just love each other.
Love each other. Love each other good. Love each other hard. And now I'm going to take this in a weird direction. So, all right. Take care, everyone. Love you guys. We'll see you next week.